The January housing data just dropped, and we've got a problem. Southern California is running two completely different housing markets at the same time. Which one you're in could mean the difference between being locked in or upside down. Your neighbor's condo might be up 6% while your house quietly lost value. Did the Groundhog see his shadow for SoCal home sales? Yeah, he absolutely did. You don't want to miss this Southern California Housing Market Report. And away we go. Finally have some 2026 data. Last month, we wrapped up what happened 2025 and before, and now we got some 2026 data. We can see what's going to happen going into the new year. Starting off with OC single family and the black line, we have our mortgage interest rates. That's the average for the month going all the way back to 2018. And what do you see? Well, normal rates, 2018, 2019. Crazy low rates into 2021, and then things went through the roof, and that's the official through the roof sound effect right there. 2026, we're actually at the lowest that the interest rate has been in January's since 2022, when it was much lower. It was about half, but those days aren't going to be coming for a while. Looking at the data, we can see that number sales down. It's pretty close to the record low that we had in 2023. And pending sales, the white line, so that's buyer demand. The red line, that's new listings. That's seller supply. And we can see that the demand from buyers is still flat. So even though we have mortgage interest rates down lower than where they were in 2023, 2024, 2025, it's still pretty flat. The other notable thing is a big drop in the number of new listings year over year. There was an increase from 2024 into 2025. And now we're back down on the number of new listings. So the seller supply dropping, and we're going to show you in the Altos research reports where the inventory is, all inventory between new listings and existing listings. The fact that the seller supply has dropped means it's going to be tougher out there for buyers, fewer things to choose from. That gap between new listings and pending sales reflects the amount of choice that's out there. It was tight 2021 through 2024. And last year at this time, it was a wider gap. So that is the trend. And in general, we're going to see a similar thing for single family. LA, a market where at this point in time, we were dealing last year with those horrific fires and people are still rebuilding. It's an unfortunate situation. The rest of the LA market that wasn't impacted by fires were flat for pending sales, actually about as low as 2023. Sales are down. Those are low. That's a record low for closings in a January, and the number of new listings has also dropped year over year. So not as tight a gap between new listings and pending sales as 2023 and 2024. So there's still some choice out there, but not as much choice as we had in 2025. Although quite frankly, in 2025, January, not much in the way of sales going on. It was a tough time. Riverside, similar thing, down for new listings, pending sales up. So that's the highest level we've had. So people are back to that point where they're driving. They basically drive until they qualify. You jump in your car and you keep going until you find a house you can afford. And that's why we're seeing an increase in the number of pending sales. San Bernardino, flat in pending sales, down in new listings. Ventura, you're always all over the place. Way down for pending sales. Things have slowed. That's a record low for pending sales. And new listings down year over year. So big drop in the seller confidence. So if you're not confident in the market, you're not going to list your house. And if you don't need to sell, you're not going to list your house. That's what we're seeing reflected in the single family data year over year, a drop. And same thing, flat pending sales. And actually, we are down at a record low for sold properties in January in San Diego. Groundhog Day, not a whole lot different from the past few years, other than seeing those listings drop. Median home price madness. Starting with single family, we're going to compare it to condos, see what's going on there. First, looking at what's happening month over month. This is the time of year where we're supposed to see the median home price start to go up. That traditionally is what has happened. And that is what happened month over month in Orange County. LA for single family, it did not. It went down. And Riverside is down slightly. So what do we see when we bring in those year over year median home price increases? Orange County, 1.4 million is the median home price for a single family home. And that is a gain of 0%. LA is down 1.5, Riverside's down 2.1. So we are seeing an erosion in equity, especially when you add in inflation. That's been the name of the game. We peaked and now it's slowed down until we get more buyer demand and maybe slightly lower interest rates, even though interest rates are lower than where they were last year. Switching over to condos, what do we see for month over month? Orange County's up month over month. Supposed to be doing that. Big drop in LA month over month. Not supposed to be doing that. Drop in Riverside month over month. Not supposed to be doing that. How about year over year? OC is up 6.2% for the condo and townhome median home price. That is a big increase and certainly exceeds inflation. LA, it's not so rosy, down 4.5%. Factor inflation into that, that's a drop. Riverside's up 0.8%. That does not exceed inflation. I know I keep saying the word inflation, but don't forget to factor that into the equation. I see some increases here. San Diego's up. Ventura's up month over month. San Bernardino down month over month. In those annual numbers, what do we see? San Bernardino for single family homes down 3.6% year over year. Ventura up 3.8%. San Diego up 1.8%. These are not massive increases. You've been watching these for a while. You remember when we were seeing nearly 20% year over year increases. Those are long gone. Needed to be long gone. That was too fast. So this is actually a time where if you're looking to buy and sell, you don't have to worry that you sell and leave money on the table. You can sell and still go buy something, make a lateral move if you want, but we'll talk about that more. Condos for these respective areas, whoa, big drop in San Diego month over month, increase in Ventura, down in San Bernardino slightly. It's a big drop in San Diego. And year over year, for condos and townhomes, down 2.2%, San Bernardino, Ventura down 0.5%, San Diego down 4.4%. Again, factor in inflation, that's a drop. So that's what we're seeing for median home price madness. Real quick, most real estate advice assumes you're buying or selling one house. If you're dealing with multiple properties, equity decisions, or a large portfolio that doesn't fit simple boxes, that's what we do. We help buyers and sellers make smart moves in complicated markets like this one, from one door to 100. Click the link below. And let's get back to the data. You love them, I love them. Altos research data is here. And what do you see at the very tippy top? Not a trick question. Search any city or zip code. Go ahead and do that. Use a link below and you can search anywhere you want in the whole darn United States. So take advantage of that and then sign up for these reports. We're looking at the county data. Let's look at the shift in inventory. It's easy to see. It happens every time this year. You see these sharp angles. They were a little slower 2023 and 2024, but you get that sharp shift where after the holidays are over, as in basically the day after, suddenly we start to see inventory go up. So that is what has happened this year. No change there. Inventory in Orange County, very similar to where it was last year. So this is total inventory, not just new listings. What we may see start to show up in the Altos research data, if new listings stay down, inventory is going to start to drop, which it's not supposed to. It's supposed to turn into this big hill. And then we look at our market segments. You can see new versus absorbed. There's one category here where the third highest price point, where there were fewer properties absorbed versus new. That is rare. As we get into the spring busy selling buying season, we will most likely continue to see the absorbed versus new go up. And then these days on market will go down. But helpful to track and also see where in the market, when you look at the different quartiles based on price, which ones are moving the most quickly, because that can mask a problem in certain spots in the market. Moving into LA, we can see the inventory has turned and continued to go up. New versus absorbed solid. And again, this is bucking the trend of a new versus absorbed. So interesting to see that third price tier might be in trouble. We'll have to keep tracking that. Riverside, not as dramatic of a spike, but that has turned for inventory. And you can see many more absorbed versus new. And that's definitely going to lead to days on market decreasing. San Bernardino, not a huge change, not a huge spike in inventory. We don't see it any of the years past. We don't have that same. And inventory is about where it was last year at this time. New versus absorbed, more being absorbed than new. Ventura, it shifted. Not a dramatic turn. And we can see that their top quartile, there's fewer being absorbed. And that days on market is continuing to get longer. So same thing with third quartile. So the lower end of the market is moving in Ventura, but the higher end seems to have slowed a bit, particularly at the very highest end. San Diego, it has turned, starting to go the other way, about the same as last year. and new versus absorbed are all more positive, and days on market, that'll come down. But still, top of the market, not flying off the shelves in any of the counties. What are you seeing out there? Market update for multifamily in Southern California. One of the only places you're going to get these numbers, 2 units and larger. When interest rates go up for multifamily real estate, it's tougher for a property to pencil. There is less cash flow because more money is going to debt service. A similar thing in some counties where our listings are off. There's a big drop in new listings in Orange County. Pending sales are up as compared to 2023 when mortgage interest rates went through the roof, but they're down slightly year over year. So interesting to see this change. I'm working with some investors right now doing 1031 exchanges and some folks who are planning for retirement and are hoping to have some cash flow going into retirement. Los Angeles, extreme rent control in Los Angeles for about 600,000 units there. And it is not easy to make a property pencil when you can't increase the rent. Not to mention Penal Code 396, which is still in effect. That's the anti-price gouging law. Basically, if someone moves out of a rental unit in anywhere in Los Angeles County, whether it's incorporated or not, a landlord at most can increase the rent 10%. So if they were below market, paying $800 for a 2-bedroom, which I have a listing like that right now, if that tenant decides to move out, the landlord can only charge $880. They can't take it to market because of Penal Code 396. What are we seeing here? One of the exceptions where the new listings are up. So people are getting out of LA. And I can attest to this in doing market updates for a listing I have in LA, a fourplex, where I've seen a dramatic increase, especially since the first of the year, in the number of properties in a 1-mile radius. It's nuts. Now, there is an increase in the number of properties going under contract. Even with tough rent control and some of these other factors, there is a number where a property will pencil, and that's most likely what we're seeing here. Riverside tends to be a more affordable market, higher cap rate market. Inventory is up, again, bucking that single-family trend we saw and bucking the trend we saw in Orange County. And pending sales are up slightly, not as high as 2024, but they're up. San Bernardino down in inventory, up slightly in the number of pending listings, better than we've seen other than these low mortgage interest rates times back here. So demand is up in San Bernardino. Ventura, you don't have enough buildings to figure anything out. But look at the number of pending sales back in 2020. That's a big number, especially for Ventura, where there's just fewer sales. Listings down slightly, flat for number of properties under contract. San Diego, we're down. We got that big drop in new listings and flat for demand from buyers. So interesting to see what's going on in the world of multifamily in Southern California. Different in some ways from single family because these are people who have different needs from their property. Cash flow versus somewhere to live. So what does all this data mean? Well, it's appropriate that this month includes Groundhog Day because the housing market is like Groundhog Day, the movie, another February, just like last February, with these low sales numbers and the Februarys before. But here's what's really going on beneath the surface. We have 2 different markets in 2026. For buyers who purchased 2021 and before, they're completely locked in. Between current values and interest rates, if they sold and bought something else similar, their payment would double or even triple. So where are the move-up sellers and buyers? Well, they're sitting on the sidelines because the math just doesn't make sense for them. Now, for those who bought in 2022 or later, it's a different story. They may actually have seen a drop in value since then. And some of them, especially with low down payment loans, might even be upside down. Remember in our foreclosure update video, we talked about how almost half of late loans are FHA. Those are the low down payment buyers that are missing payments. What we're seeing in the new listing numbers is really a lack of seller confidence. If you're not confident in the market, you're not going to list your home. And if you don't need to sell, you're not going to list your house. So who is selling? Well, the people who have to make a life change where selling does make sense. So it's death, divorce, job change, new kids, kids moving out. Those are your sellers right now. I sold my home because my kids are starting to move out. And your buyers? Well, many of those are new buyers who missed out before and are finally jumping in. In markets like Riverside, we're seeing people drive until they qualify, literally getting in their car and going further and further out until they find something they can afford, like they used to do in the past. That's the 2026 market so far. Locked in homeowners, reluctant sellers, and buyers searching for affordability where they can find it. We'll have to keep tracking to see what happens in the rest of 2026 And we're going to have that answer right here. Hey, if you made it this far, you are definitely someone who wants to go deeper than the headlines, and we appreciate that. Our newsletter subscribers get the actual data behind these reports. We'd love to have you join us. You got to hear this. At a recent real estate conference I attended, a national housing expert said foreclosures aren't worth paying attention to. But Southern California is not listening to that guy. Don't miss this next video right here.